This is the Yashica Mat124G, a TLR medium format camera, and TLR stands for Twin Lens Reflex, which first came into production in 1970 and was made right up till 1986. The camera takes 120 and 220 film, where 120 will give you 12 exposures and 220 will give you 24 exposures. The lens is a 4-element Yashica 80mm f3.5 fixed lens. You can't change the lenses on this camera. The camera is focused using the focus wheel on the side, which moves the lens back and forth away from the film plane, and also has markings on it for zone focusing. These two wheels on the front are for changing your aperture and your shutter speed, which can be seen just above the lens. The apertures go from f3.5 all the way to f32, and the shutter speeds are from 1/500th of a second all the way down to 1 second, and there's also a bulb mode for long exposures. The camera has an internal light meter, and on top of the camera there is an ISO or ASA selector along with the metering needle. Also on the front is the shutter release with a lock and a self timer too, as well as a sync port for your flash. There is no hot shoot, just a cold shoot for your accessories. On the side of the camera is your exposure indicator, advance and rewind crank, and also a small window telling you how many exposures you have. The viewfinder is waist level, which you flip open to reveal the ground glass, and there is also a little diopter for easy focusing. And if you're not sure why there's two lenses on these cameras, well, one of the lenses reflects your scene back onto the ground glass and the other is the actual camera lens. It's not as accurate as a single lens camera, but that's just a case of getting used to composing. Loading the film into the camera is easy, and there's two start marks. One is for 220 film and the other is for 120 film. I want to choose 120 film. It's not easy loading the film in a cack-handed way recording for video, but you get the idea. Just remember to have your start arrow on the format that you're shooting, or your exposure frames will be all over the place. And with all that said, let's get down the farm and see how this camera performs. I'm going to shoot the shit out of it. I feel like Damien Thorne, you know, where you go towards the animals and they'll run away. Super wide view. So I'm down at the farm, it's bleeding cold, that's why I've got my little woolly hat on. And I often come down here when I'm trying out new film or trying out new... Oh, that ain't a cow escaped. And I often come down here when I'm trying out a different film or new cameras, because there's so much going on around here. The farmer lets me in and there's always like different machinery and old tools and stuff just plotted everywhere. And some of the scenes are often different every time I come down here, because he's always working on his farm. So it's quite a nice place to come and see the animals, take some pictures as well. This Yashica Mat124G I've had for a while now, been getting used to it slowly, and I'm really enjoying shooting it. It is a little bit different when you start shooting it at first, because I'm not used to having a camera down here. I'm always used to having it up at my eyes, so this is like a waist level viewfinder, but the strap is quite convenient and right length just for me to see the viewfinder and take me shots. So quite unobtrusive photography really. Inside the camera I bought out a roll of Ilford Delta 400, and I want to shoot obviously faster shutter speeds. Today's a little bit sort of lightish, darkish, overcast, mid between I'd say, and I'm going to be pushing the film to 800, and the reason why I'm pushing it is just to get a bit more speed into the camera, because I'm doing it all handheld. Even though this is a leaf shutter, I could probably get reasonable results at 30th of a second, but you know, I want to try various apertures and stuff, so that's why I'm pushing the film just one stop to 800, and being Ilford Delta, that's no problem for that film. G'day Dags, you know Dags. Snacks, funny film. No, I prefer caravans more. It's an old piece of machinery here, I don't quite know what it is, but F22 1/25th of a second. Don't know what this machine is, some sort of shredding machine. This is proper old. F11. 1/25th. And selecting the aperture and shutter speed, I've got my shutter speed on my right thumb and the aperture on the left thumb. It's pretty easy. Another thing I find tricky is composing the shots. I need glasses to see close-up stuff. but I can't seem to get a focus through the view area on the ground glass. So then I've taken the glasses off, pop up the magnifier, but then of course I'm bending me back over as well while I'm trying to do it. So it's a little bit tricky. There is, if I show you, if I pop that all the way down like so, there's like a sports viewfinder on the back, which I can look through and get a composition. That might be a little bit easier, but then obviously I need to focus and I can't focus through there. And the farmer down here has got some right old classic tractors as well, pretty cool. For anyone that's into their tractors, you might recognise some of these. And not everything is what you see through here. Obviously, don't forget, this is the lens and this is the viewing area, which has got mirror inside that reflects your scene onto the ground glass. So obviously, because that's a little bit higher up, I've noticed that some of my scenes have got more in the ground than I expected to see inside the viewfinder, and obviously expected to see on the negative. Just shoot a little bit higher, I've noticed, on these cameras. Otherwise, you're going to get stuff in the ground that you may not have composed for in the first place. And this is where the farmer, he's got lots of rats in here, and he has these he's got this full of water, and he's got a chute for them, and they just love it, you know. They come flying down and they go back up again and come flying down, a bit like here at a water park, you know, for rats. Interesting. And that's it. It's all me 12 shots done. Put the little lens cap back on, take the film back into the spool. That's done. That's well enough. Close the lid, go back, see what I've got. And these are the negatives here. The first couple I took of the cows, a little tiny bit underexposed, but I think after I'd done my metering, the light dipped a little bit. That's why I got these underexposed negs, but the rest of them have come out okay, maybe a couple more, but they're still salvageable, these ones, the ones that are underexposed. These ones look really nice, all the other ones, and there's one particular I like here of the tractor, so I'm going to go in the darkroom and make a print of that and give it to the farmer, because I know that he loves his tractors. So these are the negatives, developed in 510 PYRO. I'm getting to like that developer a lot, and don't forget I pushed this one stop to 800. So and they come out really nice, very fine grain by the looks of things. Soon see when we go in the darkroom, get them under the enlarger. So there's the negative all ready to go on the carrier. I've got a anti-Newton glass at the bottom of that, so it keeps the negative flat, and I've also got one of these masks as well on there, which brings the 6x6 out slightly so it shows the border, saves filing your negative carriers down. But I got these from Tin Soderstrom out in Texas, so I'll put a link to his website if anyone's interested in getting some of these 3D printed stuff, but it works fine. So just do a quick focus finding, and that grain is so fine, even at pushed at one stop. There it is there. So I just put a piece of paper in there just to do some test strip on, so increments of 2 seconds, just so I can find the time to project my print where it's going to give me the best tones on the paper. And one more. So there's my test print coming out, and from that I should be able to evaluate a good exposure time for my final print. It's not hard, I don't think it's a hard negative to work with. There's some highlight areas at the top where the daylight was coming in. Don't forget I was inside a barn, so we'll have to work with that. So this is my first test print, 2 seconds, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 2, 4, 6. I decided to go for 8, I thought that looked quite nice about here. So this is the second test strip I did at 8 seconds, just to see if my shadows were coming through, and obviously the sign as well. I don't know if this area is a little bit dark, I can still see detail in the radiator, I don't know how it's coming out on the TV, but this area is just way too blown out. So I'm going to put a full-size piece of paper in just to see what happens. 8 seconds here, and then I'm going to burn the rest of the image in at the top. I'm going to give that another 8 seconds, see what happens. Another way of testing it is obviously putting small test strips where the highlight area is, but I'm just going to go for a hunch, see what happens, because that way I can also see all other areas of the print as well. So initial 8 seconds, I'm just going to cover a little tiny bit of the bottom using my dodge tool. So where I said that radiator grill was, just going to obscure that slightly here. 1, 2, 3, that'll be about right, a little bit more there, and then try and burn the top part in for 8 seconds using my hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, a little bit around the edge there. You can see on the negative the darker areas, the less exposed areas, but let's see, try and burn that in at the background. Okay, a lot more than 8 seconds, but it's only winging it. In it goes. George, shut it! The border's come out nice. Put the paper in the wrong way round though. Doesn't matter. No, I need to do that again. I need to put the paper in the right way around, but the print's looking nice. So there's 3 prints that I've done. This one we know was set on the paper wrong. This one here is okay. I felt like I could do a bit more dodging down this area to bring the detail back in, but it was also a bit off to the edge, off to one side of the paper as well. And then I come down to this last one, and this is the last one here. It's a bit more even on the paper, but I've also dodged it so I could see more of the tyres in the background. I don't know how it's coming across on the TV. So it was 8 seconds overall, and all I did was just burned in these areas for probably about another 15 seconds, just playing around with my hand and arcing that area in here. So I was hitting more light on the paper to make it go darker, and it's worked out really nice. Very sharp indeed. That lens is awesome, I think, and also the developer and the film itself. It's a nice print. So although I said I've been playing around with that camera a little while, this is the first time that I've made any prints from the negative, and I'm really happy with the way they've come out. That lens is a beauty, the camera is awesome, and I'm looking forward to using it more on the channel in the future, and also on my own photography when I'm not making videos for the channel. And there's plenty of these cameras online. You can go on eBay, there's a bunch on there, all different prices. Some of them are great value. Just make sure that you get the right one and ask lots of questions. Does the shutter speeds work? Are the apertures not sticking? Is there any fungus on the lenses? All the normal stuff. Make sure there's no corrosion in the battery area as well. Does the light meter work? All the normal sort of questions you can ask, and you'll find a decent bargain. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed this video, me shooting my very first twin reflex what is it called? TLR twin lens reflex camera, and like I said, I'm looking forward to shooting more of that in the future. I'll catch you next time.